I say, Ginger, I know Biggles likes a bit of wind in his hair, but I think this will be a bit excessive. I think we need to think about some form of windscreen, don't you? Get Smythe on it, will you? Just done a little bit of a trim back. It's not fully down to its final width there. And you can still see the hammer marks in there, been beaten. And I've got the line going down on both sides here, so this will need to be trimmed a bit. The corner here is starting to come together. Needs a chunk more beating, and this radius here has opened up very slightly at the top here due to the battering, so I need to just tighten that back up again. But it's coming along, it's getting into shape slowly. I haven't needed to anneal it yet. I don't think I will do now. I think I should be able to get most of it sorted. It'd be good if I could just have access to a wheel to do that in the workshop here. It's not practical for me to take it to work to use the English wheel there and go backwards and forwards. So a little bit more stretch is just needed here. I can see it's a little bit low, so just need to stretch that up a little bit, but we're getting there, and so if I can just planish out these little lumps and bumps, get that nice edge there just tightened up very slightly, and there we should be getting pretty close. Well, I've been planishing away to get this lip right. It's pretty much there now, and then what I did was I polished it to see where I needed to sort out some of the little dinks and dents which I had beaten into it. Polish it again, beat it a bit more, polish it again, beat it a bit more. I've got to a point now where I don't think I'm going to improve it much more. I've got to say, it would have been, if you had a wheel to wheel it, it would have been easier, but we're pretty much there on that lip there. So it's just the sides now to do, which shouldn't be too hard. There's not much in the way of planishing marks to take out. Just got to harden that line up and just get rid of some of the bits there, trim it, and then I'll polish the whole thing on the outside before I actually do the cutouts, because it's going to be easy to get rid of the sheet metal roll marks from where it was formed. So I can give it a good polish on the outside and things. That's one piece, then do the final trimming, and then I can finish off with a hand polish after that. So yeah, we're getting there. Got the gap there for the cork to go under, and yeah, I'm really quite happy with the way it's coming along. I've done all the dressing to get the angles on the front and sides, and I've machine polished to get rid of the some of the planishing marks and various bits and pieces. The tape on here is for me to see where the cut lines on the frame are going to be, so you can sort of see roughly what's going to be cut along there, around there. So I'll use tank cutters to cut these radiuses, and I'll join them up possibly with a nibbler of some sort. I've got a nibbler that goes into a drill that sort of eats out the aluminium. I can get fairly close to the line with that, and then possibly do sort of final trimming with a pair of tin snips, or just file it back, depends how bad it is. I've got to be quite careful because there's not an awful lot of metal there. Once this has been cut out, it's only an inch and or just over an inch and a half, inch and 3/4 of aluminium on the lips there. So got to be reasonably careful. But before I do the cutout, I'm actually going to cut the I'll cut the top off, but I'll cut the plexiglass perspex before I cut the frame. I'll drill the holes so it goes into that perspex, and from there, once I cut it, it'll all be ready. It'll just help me to put the frame back to its original shape, because it'll have the ability to move in and out at the top, flex and twist, once we've got rid of these panel sections which I kept in there during the dressing. Okay then, so I've cut out the acrylic sheeting which I'm using for the windscreen, and to do that with this acrylic it's quite easy. I used a jigsaw, quite a coarse but sharp wood saw piece on it, and effectively you want to go reasonably fast. You want to make sure it's cutting and not melting the plastic. If you're not cutting and getting the little bits of plastic coming out like that, then you're trying to advance too slowly. But if you try and push too hard, it might bite and then it can crack the acrylic. But it's generally quite easy to get a feel for on a piece of scrap or on the edge to start off with, to find out how fast you need to advance it. But you do need to be moving forward. And if you start to see it melt and clog up at the front, stop, leave it for a couple of moments, not that long, sort of 30 seconds or so. The acrylic will then harden up, and you can then start cutting again. The art is to stop the blade from getting too hot. So that's all cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show, I want this edge here, the back edge of the side screen here, to be rounded. So I'll show you my methodology on that. Hopefully this will show up. I'm not sure whether I'm in shot or not. Let's have a look about there. It should be good. Right. So I'm using quite a coarse file, a bastard cut file to be precise, and I'm just going to take off about a quarter of the width of the sheet. So this is 2mm, so I'm taking off about 0.5 millimetre down the side here. Doesn't take too much to do it really. And now I'm just going to do the same to that side. And that looks about right to me. So the next stage is a stage which I do on all the edges, all the cut edges and things like that. Is I use a Stanley knife blade, and with it at an angle, I draw it across the edge, and I get my shape sort of almost by filing it with this, and this is really as far as you need to go. Keeping the blue sheet, protective sheet on the sides really helps, because as you do this you can sort of see, I don't know if it'll show up on the camera, but where you've got sort of like a whiteness still there, that's the roughness in the surface, and it should go to just like a blue. Just by running this around. You've got to be very careful, of course, not to allow yourself to slip and put a scratch in the middle of the plastic. Although you can polish this acrylic out, unlike the Lexane. Lexane you wouldn't be able to polish out. In fact, you'd be able to do, I think you'd probably get away to about this sort of standard of polish, but you wouldn't get a high polish on the edge like you can with the acrylic. Just taking that to the very end. See a little bit of white still there. And the reason I'm using acrylic is because this screen's behind the fuel filler, so if there's any fuel leaks or anything like that, we could end up with a little bit of an issue, and I don't want that. Hopefully that scratch is just in the plastic. But anyway, so now I've done that, and I want this to be polished. I'm going to use some 2000 grit. Doesn't take much to get this sort of sorted out. Again, as you rub it round, you see it, you get like a whiteness on the edge. If you wipe that out and it goes to a nice blue, then you know you've got rid of any scratch marks which were left. Going all the way around the edges here. This will give it quite a nice shine. Won't be a high polish, but it would do for most people. As you all know, for the ones of very little extra effort, I will go that extra little bit and do it. So, you're seeing still got a little bit of whiteness just there, which isn't coming off, so I'll just get the scraper on that. So this stage is good for just finding those last little pieces. They won't normally cause too much aggravation with it polished to this little level, but yeah, still not quite there. And you've got to be quite careful. If you're feeling it getting hot through the paper, then you need to A, move on to a new area, and B, just move away from that piece of paper just to let it all cool down. So there's an edge which would probably do just perfectly. And then all we're going to get is just getting a bit of blue tissue here. Fold that up, and I'm just using some extra fine plus cutting compound. You could use T-cut, I suppose. Aluminium polish works as well, quite well. So just want a little bit on there. I just rub that on the edge. Like that. Wipe that off the edge. bit that's on the protective plastic. It's not looking any good there, but there we go. Final bit of a buff, and there you have a really nice shiny polished edge on the acrylic, which well, just looks a bit finished, I suppose. So there we go. These hopefully will be drilled in the next video, and I'll show you the methodology I use for drilling so that we don't end up with it cracking out later. Well, I've gone around the perimeter of the screen frame areas and set these up at 55mm spacings. I've sort of adjusted some here to like the middle. It's going to share the two on the radius. This one's going to be sort of up here for radius. One here will be up, so it's out of the line, but it's because the corner of the transparency itself is cut off. If I went down to the corner, it would be, well, off the edge wouldn't be enough land. So I'm bringing it up a little bit to make sure that the acrylic doesn't crack, and it's all gripped in place, so you know, reasonable idea of where things go. These all need to be deburred fully and countersunk. I can just get a countersink in to suit the raised countersunk screws. Hopefully that will go into focus. These little things here, small slot head brass screws, which are just long enough to go through metal, the acrylic, and another piece of metal on the frame here, because down here there'll be two strips of metal, and across here there'll be two strips of metal. And here along this side I'm going to use rivet burrs as spreader washers, both for fixing it to the airframe and for the acrylic. It gives me enough space rather than trying to put a strip of metal in. So that's what I'm going to do there. Originally I was toying with the idea of having this bit bulge out on the frame and putting a cushion clamp around here to hold the frame onto the cabane, but this is so firm I don't think it'll be necessary, and if I did do it I'd have to make up a spacer anyway, because the cushion clamp won't sit across. It'll go around there but have a quite a substantial gap between it and this, so it'd have to be a spacer of some description. I don't think we need it. I think the cushion clamp just sitting there on its own look quite ugly anyway, so I'm going to try and see what it's all like. We'll experiment and if it all turns to rat manure, then I'll have to rethink it, make up another frame, I suppose. Hey ho, there we go. I say, Ginger, I think this screen will keep the wind out of Biggles's face, but I don't think he'll like it, because he won't be able to see the Hun to get on his tail. Anyway folks, that's it for this video. Hope you have a good Christmas, and hopefully catch you in the next one. Bye now.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe or even hit the little bell notification for future videos. Any comments would be appreciated, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, go fly and feel the sky.